I'm back! Hello, fellow YouTube denizens, all you lovely artistic rogues and travelers. It's your old buddy, your favorite gadfly, Gerodius, and this is a wash of static. I am back from vacation. I am back from Florida. I am back from shitty Florida drivers. Now, actually, I'm kind of exaggerating just a little. They're really not that shitty. And Florida highways are very nice compared to Seattle, like nice and linear. But damn! If you drive in Florida and you make one mistake, all of a sudden you're in Tampa. Before I go ahead and do anything else, everyone, may the 4th be with you. Star Wars geeks unite. This is a special day, always, every year. And I've got to admit, I was having so much fun in Florida and Disney World, lightsaber making included. My girlfriend is eternally happy. I forgot to actually write anything for this episode. So I think that we are going to do a who-hash mishmash. We are going to go ahead and do some Am I the A-hole? But also we'll do a subreddit called Peculiar. Or, anything like strange things that like, no way, can this be real? Also, I think I'm going to go ahead and do what I've never done on this channel before. And that is going to be a film review. Now, many of you do not know this, but I have some screenwriting ability. I have been somewhat on the edges of the business, which is to say that I've only been entering contests about every few years or so, but trying to go and break through with that masterful, wonderful script. You got a better chance of this being struck by lightning right now. However, I do know generally how to write a screenplay, and subsequently, I'm going to use that as my credentials to go ahead and review a film. So, onward! As promised, we will go ahead and start with Am I the A-hole? Let's see what we've got. Oh, I need to learn how to click faster. Am I the a-hole for communicating 4 weeks in advance what color the bride will wear to our wedding? Okay, first take, I'm going to go and say probably not, but let's read on. I, 34 male, am getting married in 3 weeks. It is not going to be a typical wedding with the bride, 33 female, in white, but she has chosen to wear red. Uh-oh. She decided on the color last week after considering several options. She also decided on the color because the place where we are having the wedding dinner is a place where the restaurant's policy does not accept wedding celebrations, and they asked us to be discreet. Besides, my future wife has never liked to have a conventional wedding. It is going to be a small wedding, about 30 people. We asked for confirmation months ago, and a cousin of mine, 33 female, so everyone's about the same age here, with whom we have always been friends, started to make excuses for not coming. That the wedding's in a city far from where she lives. That's kind of tough to fake, so I've got to believe that's maybe at least partially true. That she doesn't like weddings, although she has been to weddings of many common acquaintances, etc. Finally, she said she would come to the wedding, and we counted her and her partner as guests at the celebration. Everything was going well until last week when we announced that the bride would be wearing red, and as protocol suggests, no one should wear the same color as the bride. Okay, I get that. Then my cousin calls me, angry because the dress that my cousin has chosen for the event is also red. It's the same dress she was wearing in the last wedding she was invited from a common friend. That if the bride is also wearing red, I am an a-hole for not telling her before and asked to cancel her and her partner's table. When we were already out of time to correct the number of people attending the celebration with the restaurant, so we will pay their menu anyways. So, am I the a-hole for communicating 4 weeks in advance what color the bride will wear to our wedding? And there is an edit here. To clarify some information, we are not trying to fool the restaurant. They know it's a wedding, and they allow us to celebrate it by keeping it discreet. We didn't tell our guests what is the protocol about having the same color as the bride. We don't ban anyone if they choose to go with the same color, but guests can see it strange, and that's out of our control. I guess guests could see it as strange. Red is not exactly a traditional color for the bride. I think it's a very interesting choice, like maybe like a blue or a green. Like, I've heard of those weddings to be sure. And if we've all heard of themed weddings. I've even had to make do at themed weddings with as best as what I could. But red, huh? Okay, first take, and I'm gonna, as I yammer and yammer along, I'm gonna go ahead and like reserve the right to revise this. But I would say fundamentally not the a-hole here. 4 weeks is actually plenty of time, or at least it should be, in order to let everyone who's in on the wedding and the festivities to be aware of what's going on. In fact, 4 weeks before a wedding sounds to me like as though it's a little bit soonish, like to the actual wedding itself, in order to be making a big choice like that. But no, I wouldn't say the a-hole here, just simply because it sounds more like the cousin in question is kind of like looking for a way to get out of this for whatever reason, time commitments, doesn't want to go, has been to many weddings in a red dress and therefore never just doesn't want to do another one. But whatever her reasons are, it's not a verboten sort of choice to wear red at the wedding, but a bit of an unusual one where many people who are planning to go ahead and attend the wedding might very well be thinking, oh, that color is oh, I'll look great in red, and I'll be directly counter to the white that I imagine the bride will be wearing. Yes, hot take. OP, you're not the asshole here. Um, However, and I'm wondering, since the cousin was having so many issues with the wedding in the first place, initially giving out the excuse of, oh well, I just don't like weddings, or oh well, you're really far away. The far away one being the one that was used first, if I'm understanding the timeline correctly. My thought is, I'm wondering if this is just basically an attempt at a convenient out. Now, there's some things about this post that are not really made clear. Now, does she own the red dress that she says she was planning to go ahead and wear? And if so, I can see where there might be a small annoyance, well, I've got this really nice red dress, but the bride is wearing red, and now I've got to go ahead and rent a dress, which is an expense I didn't count on. I can maybe see that. Although this is family, you should be there. If you've got, unless you're opposed to the wedding in general, or you just don't, this is family you don't get along with, and you got invited and you don't want to accept the invitation, but you felt obligated to. I don't know. There's a little bit here that's just not really. I forget the word. It's one of those Italian words that people like me used to make them look smart. But anyhow, my guess fundamentally, OP, you're not the a-hole here, and I don't think anybody really sucks here. Although maybe I would go ahead and give that cousin a call and say, hey, straight up, what's going on with you? How come you don't want to go to this wedding? 4 weeks is, under most circumstances and respects, enough time to go ahead and figure out what you're going to be doing for a wedding. Heck, I've had to do it within about half that time, figure out what I'm going to be wearing. And oh my God, I only got a week or two to put this together. So, I don't know. It may not be the same thing, but that's my stamp on it. On to the next one. Thank you. You're all lovely. Thank you very much. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend, I told you so, in quotes, when she told me her boyfriend left her when he found out she was pregnant? I'm going to be real honest, cousin. Like, there's very little way that I'm not going to think that you're not the a-hole on this one. But let's read on. I, 25 female, have friend, 25 female. Let's call her Amber. Let's call her boyfriend Jack, 27 male. I'm using fake names for privacy reasons. Oh, good. That means that I don't have to black out names or anything like this on the video. Amber is 3 months pregnant. Jack left her the moment he found out. I tried to warn her when they first started dating. I kept saying to be careful with him, not to get pregnant by him, telling him that he already has a kid he doesn't take care of. All right, diction's a little strange there, but okay, I get it. You tried to warn her. But she just kept saying that he truly loves her, that one day they're going to get married. I tried to support her. That's until I received call from her when I was leaving work. Her hyperventilating and telling me that she found out she was pregnant when she tried to tell Jack the happy news. They both got in a heated argument. Jack broke up with her, on the spot, I guess, as he angrily packed his stuff and left her apartment. Don't you just love guys who can do this? Like, who can like just say, "It's your fault for getting pregnant. I wasn't involved in the slightest." Like, I want to strangle people like this sometimes. But on to the reading. I tried to comfort her as I quickly drove to her favorite food place. Buying her favorite food made my way to her apartment. And I made my way to her apartment. Okay. I let her vent, but I told her she shouldn't be surprised since I tried to warn her. Oh, wrong place, wrong time. She started calling me an a-hole, calling me a horrible friend, as she kicked me out of her apartment. She went crying to our mutual friends, and now they're calling me an a-hole, calling me heartless because I was not considering that she's pregnant, now possibly a single mother. So, am I the a-hole? We get so wrapped up in our that it becomes a biology, that we. Am I the a-hole when you've like said the words "I told you so"? That should tell you everything you need to know. If you have to ask, then I don't know what to say. Yes, you're the asshole on this one. Okay. This is not a situation where you look for the gotcha moment, where you like go ahead and like reserve like, according to this, like on April 12th last year, I warned you about said Jack, saying that he was going to go ahead and do this if he managed to get you pregnant, and now it has happened. What do you have to say? This is the wrong time to even bring up the fact that, yes, you were right. A friend does not do this. What a friend does is go, even if your pregnant friend goes ahead and tries to bring it up and tries to go ahead and say, "Oh, you're so right. I have no idea why I didn't listen to you." You then just say, "Hey, hey, hey, we got way more important things to worry about. Like, what are we going to do? Like, what are you going to do? But me with you, what are we going to do about this kid coming up? You are 3 months pregnant. There's a lot to do, no matter what, no matter which way we go." So, yes, you're the a-hole for like even mentioning the words "I told you so." It doesn't really matter how you try to phrase that, like, either blatantly "I told you so" or in like surreptitious ways, like, oh, I don't know, like the way Alfred tries to tell, Christian Bale's Batman in like that one movie, like that, The Dark Knight, where it's like, "But I bloody well told you so." It's like, you just don't do it. You don't go into that realm. That like, and certainly not in the heat of the moment when she's hysterical, hyperventilating, and really needing her friend. All right, this one actually didn't take very much thought for me. You're the a-hole. Do better. I was very tempted to go ahead and leave this next one alone, just simply because, ooh, it's it's pretty juicy on this one. But it's too thought provoking for me to ignore it. So this is the last Am I the A-hole for this episode. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my wife's daughter to be introduced as a family friend? This gets spicy. A few years ago, my wife and I got a letter from a woman claiming to be my wife's daughter, Laurel, who wanted to meet with her. She told me that she'd given up a child for adoption when she was young, so I was expecting that this might happen. What I didn't expect was that the truth was there was never any adoption. She just left the baby with the father and bailed. That does put another, thought on the matter. The worst thing about this is that when Laurel was 12, she wrote my wife, begging for help. Her response was to write her the nastiest reply imaginable. I've since had a chance to read it, that basically blamed her for her problems and threatened her against contacting her again and, quote, ruining her family, unquote. I couldn't believe it. Not only has she been lying this whole time, but she actively had contact and chose to abandon her a second time while we were married. This has all been an emotional dumpster fire, but that's an issue of its own. We've been in contact and building a relationship for the last few years. So much therapy. So far, we've kept this all away from our kids. At this point, it's been a few years and there's interest in having everyone meet. Okay, I gotcha. Right now, you young kids younger than this, they don't know it as of yet. Thing is, between my wife and Laurel, they've come to an agreement to tell the kids and everyone else in the family that Laurel is a family friend. Don't like it, can't lie. Absolutely not. I'm sick of the lying. What they call each other is their own deal, and I don't expect that to change, but I'm not lying anymore. I don't like lying to my kids as a policy, but lying to them about who's related to them and who isn't is dangerous. I only want them meeting if we can tell them the truth. Ooh. Now I'm getting into it with my wife, Laurel, and my parents, the only outside people who know. They say I should go along with it, not for my wife's sake, but for Laurel's. I understand why she would want that, but I don't think I care anymore. The kids need to know. We have a saying in my family, like when we hear situations like this, is like, Jiminy frickin' crickets. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go with my very first thoughts really on the matter, but this one's a complicated ball of wax, my peeps. So we've got a older daughter that your current kids do not know anything about, but they're younger. What I'm wondering is how much younger are they? Like, I do understand the sentiment of you don't want to lie and you don't want your kids to not have to be unaware of a sibling that they do in fact have. I completely understand this. I understand every sentiment. So just to get quote unquote judgments out of the way, I'm gonna say not the a-hole here. Obviously you're coming from a good place no matter what. In your heart here, OP. What I'm wondering about though is exactly how much custody of the truth do you have currently? See, fundamentally, Laurel is not your daughter. You are the husband to the person who gave birth to Laurel. There's a connection there, but it's not a matter of you don't have the overall authority to say, oh, this has to happen and this has to happen, otherwise it can't be a relationship, otherwise I'm not going to be a part of it. It stinks. But this is fundamentally a relationship between this Laurel and your wife. I can't say that I am a big fan of your wife's actions up to this point. I understand that they've been working on it, and Lord knows that's not a YouTuber's business about exactly how that went about and what. But I'm digressing again. So I totally understand the sentiment, but really fundamentally, this is between Laurel and your wife. And if they want to have this be the rules of this relationship, like up to this point, and it's not saying that this is permanent rules of the relationship, but I think you more or less have to go along with it. Like thorough understanding of how you feel about it, notwithstanding. But here's the thing, the caveat. What I'm wondering about is how much does Laurel really want these provisions in this relationship? Is this something she was coerced into, or did she just agree that this was best? I think this would be like a kind of a it's a pointed question to ask your wife, but and I'm going to go and guess that you've only been halfway involved, up to this point. I don't know the full extent of like what your involvement is, but that's a worthwhile thing to assess is like just how on board is this daughter of your wife's with like being called a family friend. And I do believe the truths like this are very, very tough to conceal for years and years. It can be done, but I don't think they should be done. Uh, there may come a point when your kids, and I have no idea how old your kids are, honestly, but they could need a transfusion from a blood relative. And all of a sudden, I mean, if they don't know that they have an you know, older sister, then that's a that is a resource that could save their life that they are going to be denied. But more than that, it's the emotional impact of such things. It is now just speaking for me myself. I myself know of every sibling that I've got on this planet, and I've got a few. But there are plenty of people that kind of had it sprung on them, where they found out in unfortunate circumstances. And that is something that I think that you would very certainly want to avoid. The best way to avoid it is simply telling the truth at some point. Yes, I agree with that. But if this is what they're willing to go ahead and go with, as like far as like rules of engagement, like as far as like them having a relationship of any sort, you're not in the catbird seat on this one, and that's kind of what you got to go ahead and do. That's the way I'm looking at it. But this is one of those. This is one of those am I the holes where I'm just going. I am thoroughly expecting a lot of people to disagree with me. So the previous am I the a-hole like really didn't take much thought for me. Like, and I didn't even really look into the responses on it. This one, I really want to see who's responding and with what. There may be something that I'm not thinking of myself. Here's one response. Not the a-hole. The fallout from lying will be far worse than telling the truth up front if she's ever found out. I totally agree with this. And you'll be just as guilty as her in your kids' eyes for lying by omission. That's more of a suspect call, really. Like that's we honestly don't know if that's the way they'll take it, but it's certainly a dangerous possibility. If she's that ashamed, then she shouldn't be bringing Laurel around the family. All right. Let's see. Let's get another one here. Okay. Now this person has gone and has agreed with another poster saying that, oh, like once again, the kids will be furious. Exactly. This will come out, and OP's kids will be furious, justifiably so. Plus, the wife has abandoned Laurel twice, was maliciously nasty to, and threatened a 12-year-old. And let's not forget the manipulation. I'd wager Laurel has been coerced into going along with this. I think that's a very real possibility. I don't know how old this Laurel person is, but I mean, if she's younger and less experienced in dealing with adults and what they can do, plus the fact that it occurred to her at all to be able to do this kind of stuff, I mean, these are things to consider by all parties. The wife has been outed and shown OP who she is. This might be one lapse of judgment, I don't know, but however, she's capable of something like this. Just because she hasn't been like that to OP and their kids doesn't mean she won't be. Support Laurel and the kids. They deserve it. The wife is in a bed of her own making. Hmm. Well, after that, I've decided that let's go ahead and go into an of yet undiscovered Reddit. This one is called Faux Moi. Oh, yes. Now, on this Faux Moi channel, I should go ahead and mention that I'm still really figuring out what it's all about, although it seems like 3/4 of the posts are about Drake. But it doesn't seem to be like pure mistakes, perchance. It's more like a discussion on pop culture. But we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a try, see if it can be remotely entertaining. Let's go ahead and begin.
Com essa bandeira verde e amarela que eu vejo por todos os lados e eu sinto no meu coração e eu sinto aqui na minha periquita.
I couldn't show that film for obvious like copyright reasons, but it was of Madonna. She was okay. She recently had a concert in Brazil, and apparently 1.6 million fans attended this, which is like 10 times past her record. Who says Madonna's like, out of it these days? But she said to the crowd, like, that Brazilian flag, I see it everywhere. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my Mia Paquita, which I think is Portuguese for women's genital parts. It definitely seems like it was translated that way. So obviously I can't say what it really was, but you get the idea. Madonna's being Madonna. I don't know, peeps. Like, Madonna's rise as a celebrity, like, literally coincides with my entire life. Uh, but every now and then she still startles me with, like, what she's willing to go ahead and do to seem edgy. Or it's not even just seeming edgy. I think she's just literally at the age where she does not give a flying poop about anything. Next up, all right. I've got this personal theory right now going on online, and that is like, how many Drake diss tracks can you go ahead and do? I mean, because, the more Drake diss tracks that you can put onto your albums, the cooler you are. Uh, Everybody wants a piece of Drake right about now, and like not in a good way. And from what I've heard of the guy, hell, I don't know his music from at all. Like, and I don't even really keep pay attention to the rumors about him because I have like more important things to do, like keeping track of my tax money. But like, everybody seems to want to have a piece of him. Kendrick Lamar has been making a field trip out of it. Take a look at this one. Let's see. Kendrick Lamar releases another Drake diss track, Meet the Grams. Another Drake diss track. Kendrick Lamar releases another Drake diss track, Not Like Us. Drake responds to Rick Ross diss track. Drake officially releases his diss track to Kendrick Lamar. Tupac Shakur's estate threatens to sue Drake over diss track featuring AI-generated Tupac voice. King, I Am Old, the cover of Rick Ross's diss track to Drake. Drake's response to Kendrick Lamar's diss. The lyrics to Nicki Minaj's Mecky the Stallion diss track, Bigfoot. No proof to the rumor that Drake was somewhere around that. Okay, can we just stop with diss tracking? Can we just say that Ice Cube, way back in the day when he ended NWA's career, that was it for diss tracks? Like, no one was ever going to have a bigger effect on like the music scene than what that did. That last sign you just saw was just me covering up a space that I just realized, oh my gosh, actually that could get me in trouble even though I'm not monetized. However, so sorry YouTube again, but overall, let's go ahead and just get out of that particular subreddit. It's not as entertaining as what I'd hoped. So let's go ahead and finish up with insane parents. Always good for a laugh. This particular subreddit is always good for like a couple of like, oh my god, moments. So let's go ahead and get to it. And right off the proverbial bat, I think we've got something pretty unhinged. It looks like a stepdad's message to a child going, "Child, help me." All right, to wit, please come here and live here. However, you'll have to change your settings on WhatsApp. Deal breaker. Will you? Question mark. Then you'll have to abide by all the rules of my home. However, please come home. And I apologize, in italics, for everything. Yar. It literally types out yar. YAAR. Is that like a acronym I should know? Or I can't imagine you're typing out a grunt. It's like, I apologize for everything. Yar, you're making me yar. Please just give me some peace. Thank you. Praying emoji. This is kind of hardcore begging, to be honest, my guy. I can't imagine. I don't have the slightest clue what the circumstances led to this, but it sounds like you have some pretty severe, like, rules for your own home, and I can't imagine being all that receptive to them. Well, I hope it's resolved for the best, whatever this is, but good Lord. I mean, this comes off as a little on the draconian side. Let's go into another one. I'm kind of regretting only getting like the reactions to these stories. I'd love to know what led up to this. Please don't talk shit about me to my child. That's inappropriate. You are so out of control. You were talking shit about me. I expect an apology. You were very inappropriate. We can talk later if you want, but you need to be willing to have a genuine conversation. You need to be able to listen and not get defensive. If I tell you things, then I will do the same. But I will not have a discussion where you are the only one who is allowed to be right or a victim. What is wrong with you? Not that the voices that I employed just then like really indicate this, but the one on the right is a child to their mother, and apparently there's a long history of bad history. Well, we have to totally own up to the fact that we have no idea what's going on over there. But frankly, it sounds like your kid might be onto something, stepmom. Just in the sense that, I don't know, your immediate refutation of like him saying that you're not the only one who gets to be right or a victim in this, and you just go, "What's wrong with you?" It's like, that's kind of a red flag. Like maybe this child has nailed it on the head. But at any rate, hopefully you guys have settled it and everything's gone swimmingly up to this point. Best of luck to you both. And let's see, on to... To finish off this episode of Awash the Static, and in honor of this being May 4th, I am reviewing a movie that I think might have been too summarily written off by fan base and film critic alike. The movie is 2018 Solo, A Star Wars Story, starring Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and also starring Woody Harrelson, Tandy Newton, Donald Glover, and Emilia Clarke. Ron Howard directs this movie. Before I begin with this review, a preface. The first non-trilogy-oriented Star Wars movie, Rogue One, in 2016, had been critically hailed as a much-needed, good film experience that had the fan base, disappointed overall by the prequel films and less than overwhelmed by the films after the original trilogy, excited again. When it came out in 2018, Solo was not considered quite as good, and there are reasons for that. But what Solo does do is fill in some blanks of the legend of Han Solo, what makes him who he is, and events in his life that were truly only alluded to, for the most part, in the original Star Wars trilogy. Solo the movie in summary. Han, who is not Solo yet at the very beginning, and girlfriend Kira want to escape the gang they're on in the planet Corellia. They're orphans and less than nothing. They look into a valuable substance and realize that it could be their passport off the planet and new lives. They look to escape, and Han succeeds in escaping with the valuable substance, but his girlfriend Kira is captured, and Han has to go into the Imperial Academy alone. Han hates the Empire, and 3 years later, while serving in the infantry at a lousy outpost, he decides he wants to escape with smugglers that he's found disguised as Imperials. Those fake Imperials turn him into certain death at the hands of a fierce certain Wookiee imprisoned there. But they fail to reckon with Solo, in fact, knowing the Kashyyykian Wookiee's dialect. It's either Wookiee or Kashyykian, I'm not sure what it's called, but I do know the Wookiee world is called Kashyyyk. He convinces the behemoth that he is the best chance for both of them to escape. Tobias Beckett, who had sent Solo to that seeming death, recognizes that the young kid and his Wookiee friend could be useful on a different, lucrative job, and Solo readily agrees to this. He's eager to do anything to get out of the current life that he's in, eager to get closer to having his own ship and finding his long-missing Kira. The job Beckett aligns up for them goes very badly. The shipment is stolen by better-equipped smugglers, and Beckett's crew is killed in the chaos. Solo fashions a risky plan to steal more of the substance, coaxium, and refine it, riskily, at the one place that he can, so that the gangster boss, Dryden Voss, doesn't kill them all for failing initially. More than that, Solo discovers that the boss's top lieutenant is none other than Kira, and from there on it goes like this. Kira points out the young Lando Calrissian to help for the job, who agrees for a sizable part of the profits. More chaos ensues. The crew of coaxium smugglers get to the spot they need to refine it, but are met by the same better smugglers that foiled the initial job, who prove to be the beginnings of a resistance. Solo feels a beginning sympathy to them. He tries to bluff his way past the gangster boss. It fails because Beckett betrays the group to steal the coaxium and take Chewbacca prisoner. Kira then kills Voss and sends Han to get Beckett. Beckett loses a standoff because Han shot first. Kira disappears. Han declines the invitation to join the rebellion, but is given enough coaxium to get into a high-stakes card game with Lando, a rematch from the previous events, whom he promptly wins the Millennium Falcon from. The movie ends with Solo and Chewie deciding to go to the planet Tatooine with the Millennium Falcon and future high-paying smuggling jobs. The movie does an excellent job of filling in inside references, such as where Solo's ship learned how to communicate, how Solo knows so much about Imperial protocols at all. What Alden Ehrenreich does in the role correctly is portray a youthful confidence, but an inexperienced confidence, and its portrayal lacks the inborn ruthless streak that Harrison's Ford version has in spades. This could simply be Han Solo is more of an idealist at this time, but the height difference between the actors and the difference of physicality that is given the role, i.e. height, and just like man's presence, is hard to ignore between the two. The movie also possibly suffers from a secondary character having better lines on screen, specifically the slave-emancipating navigation droid L-337. Donald Glover is on point in capturing the greasy magnetism of a Lando Calrissian, but too often it feels like Ehrenreich is left out to dry with substandard, less than witty replies to the cast around him. The plot is more than solid enough, and Woody Harrelson does a wonderful job of portraying Tobias Beckett, who mentors Han and gives him a head start in difficult lessons learned in the life that he's chosen. Seeing his Beckett in action, it's hard not to think of an older Solo, years later, preparing to leave Yavin with a reward in hand and trying to entice Luke to join him. Why don't you join us, kid? You're pretty good in a fight. We could use you. Overall, I give Solo a very solid 4 stars out of 5. If you haven't seen the movie, I hope you do, and enjoy it. Well, it's time to sign off again for our Wash of Static. I have been your host, Jordius Thane. I want to thank you so much for making it all the way to the end here. It is so much appreciated. And while, far be it for me to beg and plead, if you would hit the like button or the subscribe button, either or both, I would be very, very grateful. I do have dreams of monetizing someday for you, of creating better and better content for you. And my likes and subscribes will be a big step towards me doing that. In the meantime, no pressure, but I'd be so happy. As I say, keep your minds ready, keep your thoughts steady, and do remember, they consider our minds bought and paid for. Do whatever you can to prove them wrong. This is Gerodius Thane, signing off. Until next time. Bye.
Do you know, if cats had lightsabers, how scary of a universe that would be? There wouldn't be a coffee cup in the entire universe that would be safe.
Cat!